And what we want to do in the process of yoga is learn how to withdraw our energy from the projection outward so that we can become centralized with the power. And I say the power, right? It's the power of the cosmos that's inside of you, it's inside of me, it's inside of all of us. Of course, you know that. And these techniques help us to withdraw the leakage of that power and the way that our life force is usually scattered into the world and distracted and unfocused, and withdraw it into a central position where then we can experience transformation. So that's what this video is about, Uddiyana Bandha. Stay tuned because we're gonna share about this awesome practice from Tantrik Hatha Yoga. So come on. Woohoo! Down here in my river spot, I'm gonna share with you about Uddiyana Bandha. And before I get into talking about Uddiyana, and for those of you who may be unfamiliar with this term, Uddiyana means flying upward. Bandha means lock or tie. And I actually prefer the definition of tie, which I'll get into later. And I'll demonstrate that just so we can cover that. I finish my exhale, I hold the breath out, and I do this with my stomach. Right? This is a particular technique from Hatha Yoga. Traditional Hatha Yoga deals a lot with the bandhas, specifically because bandhas help us master and gain mastery over the inner energetic currents of the body. These are the vayus, or the inner winds, which correspond to the life force, the prana. The reason this is important is because we work specifically with managing and circulating this life force to awaken Kundalini. Kundalini is the evolutionary force that leads to transformation. The reason I'm sharing all this stuff is because there's a lot of breathwork videos out, and few of them go into the actual traditional teachings of yoga and tantra, which, if we remove the practices from their context, they don't have as much benefit. I'm sharing this video to help empower and inform and hopefully inspire your personal practice so that you can turn your breath work into pranayama and receive the deeper benefits that it can offer. With that, I really encourage the practice of Uddiyana, and so I'm gonna demonstrate that here, and I'm gonna demonstrate how we work with it, because you'll see it in the methods that we use with Bhūta Yoga, when we work with different kriyas or different pranayamas. And we even work it into our asanas and our vinyasas because it's such an incredible technique and a tool. Going back to what I said earlier about it being a tie instead of a lock. It's a lock too, but when we think of it as a tie, it helps us understand that the tissue, the fascia, and the fibers from the diaphragm that are working in Uddiyana, they actually go down the spine, on the inside of the spine, and plug into the pelvic diaphragm. And so we can connect Uddiyana Bandha to Mula Bandha when we pay attention to that interconnection. And then on the other side of the equation, as the fibers run down into the pelvic floor and actually all the way down to the feet, so too they run upward into the thoracic, into the throat, into the tongue, and ultimately the brain. So working with Uddiyana helps us tie together all of these different areas where energy can escape or it can leak, because the energy, the life force that is coming into us is often escaping through our senses, through our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, our skin, and it's looking for something in the world. But what we learn to do with yoga and tantra is we learn to redirect that energy inward to empower ourselves and to remove the energetic cords that keep us stuck in the karma of the world. And this is how we transform. So how do we do that? Well, I'm gonna take a comfortable seat, and I'm turned at an angle so you can see a little bit more my stomach. And there's two things I'll demonstrate. One, I'll demonstrate how do we get into it. And there's a connection between the tongue and the genitals, and there's a connection between the sense of taste and the element of water. So one of the things that we do when we're learning Uddiyana is we stick out the tongue as we exhale, and as the tongue goes out, the navel comes in. So I'll demonstrate, and you can do it with me. So I'm gonna breathe in, and as I exhale, I stick out the tongue and I hold empty while the tongue is out, navel back, watch. And now one of the things that happens, especially if someone's first learning this, is they tend to rush the inhale. So I'll demonstrate that. This is what we don't want to do. There's a tendency to do that. And what we learn to do is we learn to control what's happening here and create space for the inhale and not rush the inhale. So I'll demonstrate. So I'm staying empty and I'm resetting here, and then I'm gonna start inhaling slowly while keeping that engagement of the abdomen. So I'm inhaling, but the navel's drawing back, and what I'll find is that the inhale comes into the back body, into the spine, and moves up, opens up the rib cage, the chest, the throat. And then I get to the top of the inhale, and there's just this inner expansion, because I've stayed connected to the root. So that's really important. One of the ways that we can develop that is through Kaki mudra. Kaki means crow, and it means rounding the lips like a crow's beak, and then inhaling through rounded lips. And this technique, the meridian here at the upper lip connects to the rectum, actually. And so rounding the lips and inhaling through rounded lips helps pull the breath from down at the base. So I'll demonstrate. Again, I'm gonna exhale, stick out the tongue, Uddiyana Bandha, and now I'm gonna stay empty. I'm gonna keep the lock at the belly, and I'm gonna lift my chin, inhale through Kaki mudra. Check it out. So now I'm inhaling through rounded lips, belly stays back. I'm gonna fill to about 90%, and then I'm gonna hold gently. If I did it right, or I did it well, I'll notice that the stomach stays pulling in, and that with the stomach pulling in, the pelvic floor also lifts. This creates length in the spine. Once I've completed with my breath hold, I'll exhale, and I'll distribute the energy equally through my body. And so that's one round of Uddiyana with Kaki mudra. Both those techniques that I just demonstrated, just plain Uddiyana and then Uddiyana with Kaki mudra, these are really key to the different techniques that we work with pranayama and kriya, in terms of arranging the body's parts and arranging how the energy is circulating, so that we can withdraw our energy from being scattered outside of us into a central position for transformation and enlightenment to take place. This is the process of inner alchemy, and this is what we do with Bhūta Yoga. And there I have shared with you a little bit about Uddiyana. I don't want to make it too long. If you enjoyed the video, or you're enjoying the videos with Bhūta Yoga, be sure to subscribe. Every time someone subscribes, I'm like, yeah, someone out there is benefiting from what we're doing here, and it helps me remain really inspired to continue sharing. So thank you guys so much for your engagement in that way, and I really look forward to sharing more with you very soon. I'm gonna go jump in the river now. Peace.